WTBR-FM, Pittsfield.
Welcome to Ham on WTBR, the all-inclusive ham radio show for hams and non-hams alike. Be part of the show. Contact us on www.facebook.com/HamJamTV. And now the hosts of the show, Peter and Jessica. Ham on.
And good morning.
Good morning,
How's the
everybody.
social distancing going?
I don't know.
Okay, this is a bittersweet show because this is actually going to be our last show for a while this thing is going on here. So
Yeah.
it's been real. In the studio is my regular cast of cronies. Jessica, my wife Starlene, here to be around for the last show.
Oh,
and Susie's
she's
here.
a nice crony.
And like say,
thanks a lot.
before we go any further,
Oh,
before we go any further, Susie, it's been a joy,
thank you.
and hopefully when this is over, we can put this back together again.
Yeah, I'm really. Is my mic on?
Yes, your mic's on.
Okay.
You're
I'm
talking.
gonna miss this quite a bit. I'm gonna miss being on the air and miss being with you guys. And for sure, we'll reconvene once this is calmed down.
So what's going to happen here is the live show is going on hiatus for a while. This is episode number 29.
29.
We've been at this
Yeah.
for 6 months, so they're gonna
very long time.
I
I was the first.
Were you really, Darlene?
She was the first guest,
Yes,
and
I
she's
was.
the last guest.
It's the alpha and omega. I like it. Full
So-
circle
This
here
is
on
what's
Ham
getting
On.
to me. Calm down.
So
It is called a vacation.
yeah. Let me finish. Let me finish what I'm doing here. We're
Well,
going.
you guys are lucky to have each other. I mean, I'm really, as a person who is single, it's difficult, to isolate from my community, and you guys are lucky to have each other. So, all you families out there,
so the live show.
keep each other
Thank
close.
you.
Yep.
Yeah.
The live show is going on hiatus. WTBR and PCTV are going to run our 29 episodes. We should only be down about a month, but I am working in my brain to figure out at least coming on once in a while and probably doing an audio only news ham on to keep us up and going here because a couple of my guests have already emailed me and said we can still do this via Skype. So for the time being, you as of next week, we'll be on reruns, but you'll be able to hear us when you'll know when we come back on if it's from the house, if it's from our house or not. We will try to at least get an audio version so people listening, people watching on PCTV, if we do come back live, it will be audio only.
And I still get to throw you under the bus.
You still get thrown me on the bus. So, a lot of things have been canceled. I will get these out quickly. The Hamvention, the Dayton Hamvention has been canceled.
I saw that. That's the best decision, really. But it's sad.
But our picnic's still going in
Oh,
July.
cool. Okay.
Something to
All
look
right,
forward
definitely.
to.
So you have many, many months to come up with an awesome dish to bring to Peter's picnic. I know I'll
the
be
picnic's still
testing
coming.
recipes
For
weeks.
Yes,
there's
definitely.
There's
The
no
weeks leading up.
There's no tours going
Cookies.
on. There's no tours going on at W1AW. Newington is closed.
Oh, wow.
Well.
The No Bark Eyeball meeting has been canceled. It's going to an on-air meeting on the 146.91 repeater.
Could you tell me what an eyeball meeting is?
Well,
kind of
kind
a
of like
cute-
what we're doing right now.
Oh, like eyeball.
Instead of
And
being
so
at the
they're
Berkshire
able to
Humane
finally-
Society.
a meat space
Yeah, instead-
meeting.
When they do the eyeball, it's so you can actually go ahead and say, okay, I've heard that call before. This
Well,
is who it belongs to.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, you're finally
they will-
able to meet the people.
Yeah, we'll be having an on-air meeting the same date, March 22nd, 6 p.m. on the 146.91 repeater. So you can tune us in there. Our
Can I get that on Echolink?
not until whoever has my Echolink turns it on.
Yeah, we're still waiting.
Oh, what? The K1, the K1 and 5K?
Yeah, we're still waiting for that to come up.
Okay.
Our Skywarn training is kind of still on. It's not going to be in person over at Berkshire Community Room, but it's going to be a webinar.
A webinar? Are you going to be
online.
teaching that?
No.
Oh, okay.
NWS Albany is going to be teaching it. So you can
Well, I don't
still.
know. You're kind of an awesome
You can still
figure in
sign
this
up
world.
for that.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Okay.
He's done some weird things during the course of his life. Please,
He does not like.
he doesn't need. Well, somewhat of a teacher, I'd say.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
but yeah.
So here
That should be interesting.
here is the trivia question for today.
Okay, I have my Googler here.
Take her phone away.
I'm not good getting into it with her.
Take-
Taking a phone.
The phone.
That's cool.
Turn your phone off.
All right, it's upside down and it's over to the
Yeah,
left here.
PPD needs to
Okay.
get to the station
I'm gonna-
immediately. There's two
She's-
women
she-
fighting over a phone.
She's gonna Google it during the break.
Yeah.
He was the governor of New York in 1994.
Ooh,
The call that he has lapsed has been then since reissued.
reissued to somebody else? Is that what you mean?
That's what reissued means.
4.
1994.
So he was the
I was
governor
20 years old.
He
Did
was
I
the-
care about politicians?
Probably not.
Probably not.
And since you don't live in New York,
Yeah,
he was the
yeah.
governor of New York in 1994. So who was he?
I was
Some guy.
8.
Some ham guy.
All right, so you
No.
got
Really?
Governor of New York.
Governor.
Anyway,
Really?
well, we'll find out. We'll find out.
You've got some local news.
Yeah, I do.
So let's get the local
news.
stuff out of the way.
We got Governor Baker prohibits gatherings of 25 or more. It says restaurants and taverns may not allow on-premise consumption, so dining in is outlawed, guys. Takeout and deliveries are allowed beginning Tuesday. All public and private schools are closed for 3 weeks as of Tuesday, so they've been closed for a while. Federal waivers will allow certain schools to continue providing meals. I know ours are providing meals for the kids. Child care facilities are not included, but are asked to follow the guidelines to prevent, the spread of this. Hold on. Yeah, and the city officials were helping the kids who were in need of food, and as of 11:30 to 12, they were giving out food, and of course, our guides have a PSA on it. It was at the locations of Morningside Community School at 100 Burbank Street, Conter Community School, 200 West Union Street. I was thinking of Albany there for a minute. Wow. Dower Square Housing Village at 253 Vacona Street. The Berkshire Family YMCA at 292 North Street. Gladys Bingham Center, I'm guessing that's how it's pronounced, at 165 East Street. The Boys and Girls Club of the Berkshires at 12 Melville Street. And the Battlebrook Apartments on April Lane. They will continue to be doing this from the 16th to the 27th.
It's okay, folks. Don't worry. It's not coronavirus. She's a smoker.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does cough a lot. So this is actually less coughing than normal. So
Yeah, this is dry, itchy,
yeah.
scratchy smoker's cough. Sorry, guys.
Don't panic. No more panic. No more panic.
Nah. She's just a smoker.
the schools and everything will reopen on the 30th. And here's some funny news. A little bit of funny news. The man is high at Carr's hardware store in Pittsfield. They ask that you guys don't go nuts and buy a lot of their, face masks and gloves and hand sanitizer and all that. It's limited to one or three people depending on the product. So guys, go easy on this stuff. Please do.
Yeah, the stores are still open. No panic buying. But back to the thing. Before we go any further, I'd like to thank the guys in the back: Matthew Tucker, Bob Heck, Sean Sear. Hope that we get back sooner than later here. And
seriously, thank you guys.
They will be rerunning our shows both on TBR and PCTV until we can figure out how to get us back on the air.
Oh, we'll figure it out. I know.
Is BCR
so
shutting down?
So WBCR, I just talked with the guys over here at WTBR, and that conversation helped me to decide that yes, WBCR is indeed. We're not shutting down per se. What we're doing is limiting access to the studio. So of course, just like TBR, we have the capability to upload shows into the automation server. So we're going to be reaching out and trying to get information from local emergency and community services and kind of keep information flowing. And we're going to be urging current programmers to pre-record their shows. And so we'll be playing that. But as far as live radio is concerned, a couple of us are going to be on the air tonight. And then at midnight, that's it. It's really the most sensible approach, and it makes me feel very sad, but that's where we're at. This is a global epidemic, and we have to be responsible.
And that goes.
True.
And that goes. The Beatles show will still continue.
Yeah, that's awesome.
On Monday nights.
Awesome. It's a great show.
We will be,
guys, you should check out the Beatles show. Peter does a really great job.
We'll actually be taping that show at home, and we'll be sending it up here to TBR, and they'll be putting it on the air. So at least we'll have some source of normalcy going on here till we all can get back on the air.
Yeah, and that's what community radio is about. Is comfort and information and entertainment and as everybody's lives are changing, it's nice that TBR and WBCR are trying to keep things flowing and normal, and so you've got somewhere to turn to if you have questions or
definitely.
As the guys,
and for the ham radio operators, this is really a good time because with the social disconnection that we have.
We're all socially disconnected already. That's why we're in ham radio. I was telling people, I'm like, social distancing is easy for me.
The funniest thing is everyone keeps on forgetting when everything else is going nuts, radio will still give you the comfort that you're looking for.
That's right. And connection.
That's the idea. Yeah,
to some degree. Now somebody's just got to come over and put up my antennas.
It's always a window to the outside
world.
Hey,
wait. I have told you and told you and told you.
Yeah. All right, cool.
I'll
be in touch, and if you're symptom free, I'll come pick you up.
Be in touch. Well, apparently after today, I'm free.
Yeah, but I'm not.
Apparently after today, I'm free for about the next month.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Are you?
Well, I wouldn't say that.
Is it weird that I have the lyrics of Radio Gaga stuck in my head?
A little bit.
Right now.
A little bit weird, yeah.
So, we do...
She's a weird child.
Especially the lyrics.
She's got weird parents,
Hold on,
so what else?
We actually have a guest, hopefully, calling in. It'll be officially our last guest for now. N2FKW, Bob Hickman will be calling us to talk to us Among other things about the Maine Potato Net on 3958, which will probably get a lot more bigger with the social disconnect that we have. I know I was on there Saturday night. I think we had like 22 people went for
Are you kidding
2
me?
hours.
That's usually
So Bob will be talking about
that's a miracle.
Bob
Wow.
Bob will be talking about the Maine Potato Net. So if you want to catch the Maine Potato Net, 3958 megahertz, 75 meters. 6:30 p.m. 7 days a week.
And the only thing you don't talk about is politics and religion. Since
agree.
you're going with the preamble,
Since you're going with the preamble.
Yes, that's one thing.
or when you go ahead and do the preamble in October, there are 3 things you don't talk about: politics, religion, and the Great Pumpkin.
Great Pumpkin.
Yes.
Is the Great Pumpkin that controversial?
The Great Pumpkin is that
definitely.
controversial.
Great Pumpkin's always confidential.
Controversial.
Controversial.
Yeah.
It
could be
think about it.
confidential as well.
According to Linus, here
Yeah, I don't want to argue with Linus.
Y'all are talking about Santa Claus, and that's the last thing he wants to hear about.
And some more ham radio news.
jokes.
The organizers of the Boston Marathon have postponed the
Until September, I believe.
Boston Marathon
Yeah.
until September. Everything is postponed. Everything
Not
is
quite
canceled.
sure if it's.
We went through a lot of epidemics, and never have we shut down the entire world.
Well,
to do it.
this is a brand new strain that nobody has been exposed to before, and therefore we don't have any natural immunity to it.
There is one thing that you can go ahead and say that is going to be running according to Channel 10, and it's in Albany.
What's that? What's going to be running?
Freihofer's Run for Women.
Oh,
Well,
so,
yeah, it's in June.
Yes, the Freihofer's Run for Women.
Oh,
It's for
okay.
the breast cancer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
they do it every year, and it's pretty amazing. I mean, but you get runners from all over. I mean, state to state. Some of them come in from other countries
Wow.
to run.
I hate to interrupt with the Freihofer's One for Wing, which
do
is
you
still
though?
going on. Bob's on the phone.
Okay.
We're
Hey,
going
Bob.
to go to the break.
Yeah.
And then when we come back, we'll be talking to Bob Hickman and to FKW.
Can't wait.
So we will be
Cool.
back after the break.
Is it possible the 2 Utes?
To what?
What?
Did you say Utes?
Yeah, 2 Utes.
What is a Ute?
WTBR.
The Pittsfield Public Schools, the City of Pittsfield, and our many community-based partners are dedicated to the well-being of our entire community. To that end, the Pittsfield Public Schools will be providing once a day grab-and-go breakfast and lunch packages to children in our city. These nutritious grab-and-go food packages will be available between 11:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. at the following sites in the City of Pittsfield, weekdays through Friday, March 27th. Morningside Community School, Conti Community School, Dower Square Housing Village, the Berkshire Family YMCA, Gladys Brigham Center, Boys and Girls Club of the Berkshires, and the Brattle Brook Apartments. We are grateful to our school nutrition and transportation professionals in the school district for making this possible. We are also grateful to the Mass Department of Elementary and Secondary Education and to the Federal Department of Agriculture for making this vital service available. This has been a message from the Pittsfield Public Schools in association with WTBR FM.
Hi, I'm Raven Simone. Babysitting can really be an adventure, so make sure you take the American Red Cross Babysitters Training. You'll learn everything from first aid skills to how to change a diaper. You'll also learn about the business of babysitting, and you can be certified in CPR. You'll have lots of fun, too. Red Cross babysitters are lifesavers, so find out more at www.redcross.org. That's www.redcross.org. Or contact your local American Red Cross chapter.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
This is Joe Walsh. One thing I do when I'm not playing rock and roll is get on the air as an amateur radio operator. Also called ham radio, is a communication service provided by ordinary people just like you and me. We have a national emergency communication system in place 24/7, 365. Find out more about amateur radio at arrl.org/whatishamradio. See you on the air.
The competition has taken notice.
Oh my God.
Good luck keeping up with us. Amateurs. 89.7 WTBR.
And we're back on Ham On the phone is Bob Hickman, N2FKW, our fearless leader for the Maine Potato Net.
Oh, sweet. I've heard good things about the Maine Potato Net.
I hope he's on.
Hi, Bob.
Hello, Peter.
There he is.
Hello.
You are officially our last guest. I don't know if you were listening earlier, but this is the last live show that we'll be doing till all this coronavirus thing is over. So you've got the pressure of being the last guest this week.
Hi.
Oh, my.
I know. Things are getting serious here, Bob.
Don't put peer pressure on a guest. Do not put peer pressure on a guest.
So
it's horrible.
Thanks for being on the show. And then we'll start with the same question I ask everybody. Tell us a little bit about Bob. Let's give Bob's bio.
Okay, I hope you're hearing me okay. I'm on a cell phone.
Yeah, we're hearing you just fine.
Yeah, you're a little low, but I can hear you.
Landline is all tied up. Anyway, tell about Bob. Well,
what about Bob?
Bob is not a youngster.
Oh.
Bob is a native of the state of Maine, a veteran of the United States Navy
Nice.
for 3 years active.
Nice.
And
thank you.
Bachelor's, University of Maine, 1968. And the United States Navy for 3 years. Then a master's, University of New Hampshire, 1973. 6 years with General Electric in Syracuse, and then 29, almost 30 years with Niagara Mohawk Power in Syracuse, New York. Got a wife. Got my wife, Ann, is upstairs, probably on the phone. We have three wonderful daughters, Rebecca, Regina, and Elizabeth, and 2 grandchildren, Mara, who's almost 4, and Rowan, R-O-W-A-N, who's almost 3. And those 2 keep us extremely busy.
You're very lucky. You're very, very lucky.
Bob?
Yes.
I understand this is KD2KOW, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to make introductions. I'm sorry. My daughter, Jessica, who's
Hello, sir.
not licensed.
How are you?
My wife, which you know because she shows up on the Maine Potato Net every once in a while, KD2KOW. And Susie, who doesn't show up anywhere because she doesn't have any antennas up.
That's right.
KC1LIW.
That's right, but I do have my general license, so there's
good.
that. There's that. I'm going to go for the extra, and probably use this time of quarantine to study for it.
Go ahead.
That's a good plan.
Yeah, I think it's a great plan. I'm also going to be messing around with some recording stuff at home, so this will be a really fruitful time, I think. Anyway, so yeah, nice to talk to you, Bob.
So, do you have a question?
Does Darlene have a question?
I was just making a statement about grandparents. Bob, yeah, I know how it is about being a grandparent. Got 2 beautiful granddaughters from my youngest daughter, and they are roughly 13 and 7, and the terrors of the world. Right now, they are home with the common cold, not the virus. They are home with the common cold, and I've told my daughter who... my grandchildren keep telling me they want to come and visit. No, I keep telling them, no, I love you, but you're not passing the cold on to Grandma.
Wait, can we get back to the ham radio portion of the show?
Yep.
So, Bob, what led you into the hobby that we are all talking about?
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
Amateur radio.
Well,
What drew you to ham radio?
Life and my total life experience and that of my dad.
Yep.
My dad was a career Coast Guard, 27 years total active.
Wow.
And he was a radioman. And started in 1939 and retired in '66. Just up and saying, in '56 he was a chief. At that point, he was a chief radioman, and he was an instructor at the Coast Guard Training Center in Groton, Connecticut, which is no longer there.
Oh wow!
Then he became a warrant officer, and he got orders for Greece to serve aboard the United States Coast Guard cutter Courier, which was, as it turned out, one of a kind ship, manned by a Coast Guard crew, and just chock full of radio transmitters for the Voice of America. And I know
nice.
My mom and I lived with him in Greece for 2.5 years. And he was the electronics officer on board the ship. That ship had, and by the way, the ship's call sign, the maritime call sign for that ship was November Foxtrot Kilo Whiskey, NFKW, and that's where my amateur call comes from. Is derived from that.
Nice.
Had to add the two. Anyway, that ship had a broadcast band, medium wave broadcast band transmitter for the VOA, 150,000 watts. I say again, 150,000 watts, 3 times the legal limit for commercial stations in the U.S. And had two 35 kW Collins shortwave transmitters for the, I think they broadcast in 7 and 9 megahertz broadcast bands for the Voice of America. The ship was not on 24 hours a day, but that kind of made an impression on me, being around, a dad who was a radioman and what have you. I majored in electrical engineering in college, wanted to be a ham, but couldn't get past the brick wall called Morse code.
That is a brick wall.
I think a lot of us are having problems with Morse code. It's still a brick wall to me. I mean, if I had to tell you the truth, Bob, if I had to, I probably would have not have made my general because, I mean, let's put it this way. I'm still trying to figure out how Peter can actually get the parts that he's learned to get it done. I mean, it's still a brick wall learning.
It's a brick wall. It's a language. It is a language.
It is truly. Those who can do it, I pass my hat to you. You are an angel, and God has given you the greatest gift in the world.
Right. If you're hearing some noises in the background, that's your granddaughter playing. Okay. Anyway, the long story. I mean, I just put the thought of ham radio out of the mind for a very, very, very long time. In the Navy, when I was up in Newfoundland, I had a fellow junior officer who did have his ham license, and he kept bugging me. He said, "You should get your ham license, Bob. You know all this technical stuff." But I can't do code. So fast forward to somewhere in the late 90s, he finally got on my case again. He said, they dropped the code requirement. And at that point I was still in the midst of, raising a family, and I didn't have the time. So in 2010, ironically, when my dad was here, I had lost my mom a couple of years earlier. He was with us for the last 2 years of his life, and while he was here, I finally bit the bullet and took the technician license. I think it was, I got to stop and think, 2009. I rewind the clock. Like December of 2009. But busy taking care of my dad, so I didn't get on the air with anything. And then 2 or 3 months later, I took the general because, it was fairly easy. The only part that was hard for me was, the rules and the regulations. Had to commit those to memory. But all the electronic stuff, that was second nature. And ultimately, let me see, what year was that? About 3 years ago. 3 years ago, in 2017, the local amateur radio club here, LARC, Liverpool Amateur Repeater Club, was offering an extra course, and it was a very popular course. I'm trying to think how many were in it, at least 20, or in that neighborhood. 20 of his members took it. and I passed. So since 2017, I've been an extra.
Nice, congratulations.
So that's the ham radio story up to this point. Back to you guys.
And that leads us up to, because you are the net manager for the Maine Potato Net, 7 days a week.
Oh wow,
39.58.
7 days a week.
7 days a week on 39.58.
That is dedication.
Now I'm only there Saturday night.
That's dedication.
Yeah, for a while. I'm sorry, let me interrupt, Pete. For a while, I was doing it by myself. I happened to, once I got my first radio, and got over some interference problems from a furnace. I happened to be tuning to one of those new high efficiency furnaces from Lennox. Created enough RF to require an FCC license.
Oh my God.
Woohoo!
Fortunately, a Lennox field engineer came here and they fixed it for free. No more interference.
That's great.
So tell us all about, because I do it. I've plugged it so many times on here, but tell us all about the Maine Potato Net.
Sure, I will. Okay, I happened to, I was tuning around the bands and I discovered it, and I think it was probably sometime in 2010, after the furnace issue was cleared up. And, a gentleman in, I can stop and think at the time, in Connecticut was the net control. And I finally called in and said, I'm from Maine, can I join you guys? And he said, sure. So I did it for quite a while, and the net control shifted from that gentleman who was very elderly and ultimately passed to a guy in... another guy in Connecticut, and he, I'm getting the order wrong. First, a guy near Schenectady, New York, and I can't remember calls now. Please forgive me. And then he had to give it up because his wife got sick. It went to a guy in Connecticut. Long story short, he ended up getting cancer and was very, very sick. And one night he said, "Bob, can you run the net for me for a while?" And I took it over. And it was 5 days. At that point, it was 5 days a week, and it was all just me, myself, and I doing it. And we had a good time. And then about 3 or 4 months later, got the sad news that he had passed. And so I've been running it for quite a while, and slowly, up to this, as of a few months ago, we have a total of a net control for every night. So we have 7 net controls, which is a godsend. So I'm officially only running it on Tuesdays, and I help somebody else with NetLogger, a piece of software, on Fridays.
Cool.
The Maine Potato Net. Now I'll go through the line. Maine Potato Net was established by amateur radio operators in Aroostook County, Maine, back in the 1970s. And why did they do it? Well, Aroostook County is a big county, and it's together. I think the square footage or square mileage or whatever you want to measure in is sort of as big as Connecticut and Rhode Island combined.
Whoa!
It's the largest county east of the Mississippi. So they, back in the day, if you remember the phone companies back in the day, you had to pay toll calls, to go much more than 10 miles. And that's what they were faced with. So they used amateur radio much to their advantage to communicate amongst themselves. A lot of them were, in fact, potato farmers. A lot of them were not. But that's how amateur radio came in handy to them. Years ago, when I first started, the topics of discussion were farm equipment, tractors, mowers, things like that. It's kind of morphed into, what's the latest flick you've seen on Netflix and things like that, or other technical stuff, or just saying hi. It's mostly just saying hi and being friends with folks. Pardon me, I got to take a break. Go ahead, you talk.
And we've come a long way since that, because we have dinner clubs. They'll come on. When we do the 73 round on Saturday, all the list is all dinner club.
Yep.
We'll go through the first round. I mean, there was a time when I started this, and I think if I remember right, I brought it back on the weekends because it was 5 days a week, and me and my friend, the late N1SAV, Jeff, we decided to bring it back up on the weekends. I did Saturday, he did Sunday. And unfortunately, a few months after we brought it back, Jeff passed. But we did, it was kind of small, 10, 8, 9, 6, 7 people, and we go 2 or 3 rounds. But as we got bigger and more people bunched into us here with NetLogger, now we have 2 rounds, and the first round is just, whatever. We'll talk about hunting squirrels or whatever the latest movie is.
Or at least going ahead and bringing up the kitty cat story.
And then bringing up the kitty cat story. And then the second round with almost everybody, with the exception of maybe a couple like KD2FTA, Alex, and 2HFO, Michael, who's actually been on the show, who I couldn't get to talk as much as he does on the radio, but anyway. So we go through. We go. It's serious. We hear Michael on the radio on the Maine Potatoe Net. He's 10, 15, 20 minutes in. He gets on here and he's 5 minutes in, and I'm searching for questions.
He ran out of coffee.
I didn't run out of coffee. But at some point when we do get the show back on, KD2FTA will be on here. And Alex will be here. I'm trying to figure out what we can put out there. We keep switching because daylight savings, so we keep moving the net around. So tell us a little bit about moving the net around during the time changes.
Sure. Basically, this net is a regional net. It's, basically the northeast states. Maine was the first part, initially it was just Maine. But then, over the years, people from New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York were added to the roster. By the way, I keep the roster now. It's a giant spreadsheet. A lot of people since I became net control, and a lot of us are in New York State, upstate, we get a lot of good contact with folks in Pennsylvania, and occasionally out to the west, Ohio, Michigan, people show up. But it's basically a regional net, and we try to keep the start time, the window where we operate, starting just before, maybe up to an hour before local sunset, and no later than an hour after local sunset, because at that point the propagation for the 80-meter band goes long, and we get people, we start interfering with people far away, and vice versa.
Okay,
it's no longer.
Let me interrupt you for just one moment. Sure. For the non-hams that are listening to this show, explain what you mean by the band going long.
Yeah, that would be great.
Sure. Okay. Well, shortwave radio, actually broadcast band too, is subject to bouncing off the ionosphere, various layers in the ionosphere, and those layers and how well they reflect and are greatly influenced by all the radiation from the sun, visible light, heat, etc. And so during the day, for example, mid-afternoon, the bands where you can effectively communicate over a reasonably long distance or very long are the higher frequency bands, a 20-meter band, 10-meter band, 15-meter band. 40 and 80, not so much so during the middle of the day, except for some people who are really, really close to you. As the day wanes and the sun gets lower in the sky, conditions propagate, the ionosphere shifts around, and you can start communicating on 80-meter band, 3.958 is where we run, almost 4 megahertz. now you can start talking and reach out to people up to maybe 500 miles away comfortably. If they're running enough power, you're running enough power. When the night falls, when the sun goes down, things start really happening with the ionosphere. And your signal, rather than bouncing just once to 400 or 500 miles out, starts bouncing many times way out. So in the dark after sunset on our frequency, we've had a member who lives up in Messina in the summer and lives down in Florida in the winter, and he has checked into the Maine Potato Net from Florida after sundown. So that's what we mean by when we say the band goes long. The skipping conditions are such that you can reach out a long, long way.
Awesome.
And
thank you.
If you're all by yourself, that's great. But there are lots of amateur radio operators in this country, and then our net starts interfering with some other net, or vice versa, and it really becomes a nightmare when the band goes long. Hope that explained it.
And
you explained that quite well.
And of course, he's talking about N2KAZ, Pat, who is actually Michael's cousin, who spends 6 months of his year down in Florida.
Ooh, the one that does the snow dance.
The one that does the snow dance, and then we have winters up here. I know you probably don't know the answer to this, Bob, but out of all the bands that they could have gone when the Maine Potato Net started, why was 80 meters picked?
Because I think they generally ran it mostly daytime hours, not into the late evening, and so that was a good choice for relatively close in communication, up 0 to 400 or 500 miles, and the kind of antenna that's very useful for that is something called an NVIS. That's Near Vertical Incidence Skywave. You want the bounce the energy almost not quite straight up, but a little off, and goes up, hits that layer in the ionosphere, and comes down one bounce, and that works well. Especially when most antennas, when they're relatively close to the ground, will do that. And in fact, the military tries to do that. If you've ever seen pictures of the Humvees running around in the Near East with radio antennas on them, sometimes they have the vertical antenna bent over forward in kind of a half loop, and that gives. And the reason they do that is that gives them a radiation pattern that takes advantage of near vertical incidence skywave, and they can talk to each other over longer distances.
So with all this social disconnection that's going on, now this is the perfect thing for anybody, because I'm on podcast and YouTube, so everybody everywhere is going to hear this at some point this week. Everybody can join into this. He gives out potato numbers. He actually keeps a list of potato numbers.
What exactly is a potato number for the non-hams?
Oh, it's just a membership number in this particular net.
I want a potato number. What's my potato number?
Well, you have to actually join in on the net first.
Wait,
do I need
an antenna before I can join in the net?
Well, duh.
Yeah. It's kind of a long-running joke, Bob.
What, you've had your license?
I've had my license for a while, and I have just a beautiful, beautiful set of equipment, but have been stymied by just not really knowing enough about antennas. There's so much to learn. So I'm pretty new at this whole thing, and it's taken me a while.
Well, then you need to have an antenna putting up party.
That's right, antenna party here.
I told you, I bring the bow and arrow out.
We're ready to roll.
I think if I remember correctly, what we got Bob on phone, he's got antennas in trees.
No, mine are. I try to avoid the trees. I only have one big tree on my property, and it's positioned such that it's kind of hard for me to make use of it. So I invested in some of those MFJ telescoping fiberglass poles. They reach up to about 25-foot mark.
Oh, wow.
I've got a typical suburban backyard. It's roughly from the back of the house to the back fence is maybe 70 feet, and from left to right, neighbor's fence to neighbor's fence, it's about 66 feet. And I started out with a full-size loop antenna for 80 meters, and that worked gangbusters until Michael, M2HFO, convinced me to get a power amplifier, a linear amplifier, to run more power. And as soon as I did that, the leg of that loop one leg of that loop was, quite close to the house, and a lot of radio frequency energy came back into the house.
Oh,
and
that's no good.
And just raised havoc with the transceiver and such. So I couldn't use it. Now I have technically it's a dipole, but I can't reach a dipole cut for that frequency is longer than my yard is wide. So as you look at the thing, it's if you looked at it from the sky, I guess you'd call it the letter C. It's bent at the corner and comes in towards the house about 30 feet on each end. And I don't have the interference problem anymore.
All right, so we're going to go to the break, and then we will come back and talk with Bob and see what other things he has going on besides the Maine Potato Net. So we will be back in just a few minutes.
You're listening to Ham on WTBR.
Where's the kaboom? There was supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom.
The Pittsfield Public Schools, the City of Pittsfield, and our many community-based partners are dedicated to the well-being of our entire community. To that end, the Pittsfield Public Schools will be providing once a day grab-and-go breakfast and lunch packages to children in our city. These nutritious grab-and-go food packages will be available between 11:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. at the following sites in the City of Pittsfield, weekdays through Friday, March 27th. Morningside Community School, Conti Community School, Dower Square Housing Village, the Berkshire Family YMCA, Gladys Brigham Center, Boys and Girls Club of the Berkshires, and the Brattle Brook Apartments. We are grateful to our school nutrition and transportation professionals in the school district for making this possible. We are also grateful to the Mass Department of Elementary and Secondary Education and to the Federal Department of Agriculture for making this vital service available. This has been a message from the Pittsfield Public Schools in association with WTBR-FM.
Hands can do incredible things. This is the sound of two hands helping to save a life. It's called hands-only CPR, and it's recommended by the American Heart Association. If an adult suddenly collapses, call 911, then push hard and fast in the center of their chest until help arrives. Hands can do incredible things, but nothing compares to using them to help save a life. For more information on this latest method of CPR, visit handsonlycpr.org today. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
What is ham radio? It's the most fun you can have with a radio. It's a way to talk to people around the world or even orbiting the world, to send email without internet connection, to experiment with electronics or computerized digital communications, to see how many countries you can contact in just one weekend, or just open the door to new friendships through the more than 2,000 amateur radio clubs throughout the country. Want to join us? Go to www.emergencyradio.org. We're the ARRL. We'll show you how. www.emergencyradio.org.
Some knowledge belongs to us and us alone. The way our girlfriends walk, talk, touch their hair. Details that only a sister can know about her girls. But what about our other girls? The ones we carry with us every day. Our bond with our sister girls gives life. But knowing your breasts can save it. Go to knowyourgirls.org for the facts you need on breast health. Brought to you by Susan G. Coleman and the Ad Council.
Oh, Magoo, you done it again.
I failed you, Ben. I'm sorry. I'm sure you are. The resistance is dead. The war is over. And when I kill you, I will have killed the last Jedi.
Amazing. Every word of what you just said was wrong. The rebellion is reborn today. The war is just beginning. And I will not be the last Jedi.
And we are back.
We can be
on Ham on WTBR FM with Bob and 2FKW. Okay, before we get any further, the trivia question. And we'll see if Bob can answer the trivia question. He was the governor of New York in 1994. The call has since lapsed and has been reissued. Who is he?
I'm going to guess George Pataki.
You guessed correctly. K2Z Zulu Charlie Zulu. George Pataki. So...
hey, I was right. It was Pataki.
It was Pataki. So,
nice.
Other than the Maine Potato Net, Bob, what other things you got going on in the hobby?
Right now, that's just about it, Peter. Just so busy taking care of the grandchildren. It's a challenge to do the Maine Potato. Well, on Sunday nights, I take care of one of the local nets, net logging for one of the local nets, and again, I'll really explain NetLogger. It's an app. It's a piece of software that a lot of nets use to keep track of who has checked in and what order they are going to be called. And those who have it on their PC or laptop next to their rig can, get an idea of where they are in the list and when they're going to come up next. It's great for, okay, I can go get a cup of coffee or soda or whatever now. What a lot of people use it for. And the net controls, it's at least for me, it's I don't even rely on paper anymore. I just keep the list on that program. And it's a great application that's available for users of Windows, Macs, and Linux.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and when you get 22 people like I got Saturday night, you get your hand cramps as you write. So much better just to type them into the NetLogger.
That's true.
Any last words before we let you go? Because time is fleeting here. So any last words from you? Anything you want to stick out there while you have the chance?
Well, I just want to congratulate you, Peter, for what you're doing now and for you being so active in the hobby, in all aspects of the hobby, especially
I know.
the emergency communications part of it. That's something I'd like to get into, but haven't found the time to do so yet. We're going to have a public service event here this past Saturday in Syracuse for the St. Patrick's Day Parade, but that did not happen because the parade was canceled. And I kind of breathed.
And you haven't... go ahead, I'm sorry.
I breathed a sigh of relief because working that particular parade can be very, very cold and uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah, I know.
and you haven't been on. I think the last time I was assistant section traffic manager, but since then they have Ray, who's our section manager here, KB1LRL, gave me the dubious honor of assistant section manager for Western Massachusetts.
I think that's a great
everything
honor.
I've put together is being canceled.
It's a great honor. I know it's
except our picnic.
Right. It's a
still
super
going on
rough
July
time.
18th.
Everybody's got projects that they've been working on, and so it's really hard to stop and reassess.
All right, Bob, thanks for being
thanks,
here.
Bob.
I'll send you an email when this is up on the podcast and up on Yahoo.
Hey, Bob,
or up on YouTube.
Enjoy your time with your family and stay safe and connected and well.
Well, you folks do the same. I just heard your ad. One of the ads on during the break was intriguing, where the school system there is passing out lunches, I assume, or breakfast, one or the other, and I assume they are closed. Schools here are closed as of today.
One of the major concerns in closing the schools around here, I'm not sure how widespread this attitude is, but that kids who are eligible to receive free breakfast and lunch at schools, now that the schools are closed, will not be potentially getting the same at home. And so a lot of places around here are staying open with grab-and-go meals for student-age kids as a public
great.
service. Yeah, it's great and supportive and nice. I don't know how long they'll be able to do that.
Yeah, everything here is closed. They've even, as far as the restaurants and the bars are all done. Takeout.
Done. Well,
So-
takeout. I think
Takeout and delivery.
I think they're halting that. Actually, no.
That's the
Okay,
only-
sorry.
Takeout's still going. They have to keep some of this stuff alive.
Okay, right, or else.
Yeah, Baker said.
This is wild times.
Baker said for it to be takeout and delivery.
Even the bars are takeout and delivery.
Yeah.
So we'll all go to the bar later and take out, a couple martinis and
Yeah. I'll have a couple of drafts to go.
All right, Bob, it's been a pleasure.
Well, on that note,
Yes, on that note.
I would like to wish you 73s from November to fine Kentucky whiskey.
There you
Yay, 73, man.
All right, Bob.
Thank you.
Bob, have a blessed day.
Bob, thanks for being here. Hopefully we'll talk to
Thank you.
Saturday. That was Bob Hickman, N2FKW. From the Maine Potatoe Net. Well, we have a few minutes. I just want to say again, thank you to the guys in the back who gave me an hour of radio, and that we know we will be back.
Thank you.
Soon.
Thank you, guys.
Maybe sooner than later, but Matthew Tucker, Bob Heck, Sean Sear, Jody Spielman.
Thank you, guys.
All the people in the back. This has been surreal. It's kind of going to be hard not coming into the studio and doing this show every week.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna miss it.
It's gonna be weird. And it's funny. It's funny when we started this. Susie came on as a guest and never left.
I never left. That's right.
We're going to miss.
That's right. I'm still here.
We're going to miss you.
Yeah.
We wish you the best, and we know we'll be in touch.
Oh, definitely.
And this was definitely a joy, and hopefully when we get the okay to and all this is over, we can get back and do this. But you came on as a guest and you stayed for 6 months.
That's right. You guys are great.
When it's all lifted and you guys come in, you get on.
We're going to have a big reunion
you get
show.
to go ahead and do your happy dance.
That's right. That's right. We need like a 3-hour show when we come back.
All it is.
Have like a 3-hour show with
It's a
all the
holiday.
guests in here.
It's not a holiday.
I tell you, it's nothing but a holiday.
It's not a holiday. It's very serious.
Well, it's a holiday as far as.
I'm trying to make humor out of
and
all
I'm going
this,
to work
but it's not
really hard. I'm going to work really hard to at least get us on the
sick
air.
leave, as they call it.
I'm going to work really hard to at least get us on the air a couple of times. Rhea, who is scheduled here for April, still wants to do the show. So I think April 1st comes along. We might even get a webcast together and do some audio and have at least 1 or 2 shows from the house. But the Beatles show will go on after this week. We'll be recording that from the house. Darlene, you were the first guest. You helped a lot to make this possible. And it was great having you here as we wrap the last show for I guess the next month. I guess we'll be down for a month.
It'll be gone for a month, but it's for the best of everyone's health and understanding. But the best thing is it'll be back, and it'll be back just like spring flowers. That's all you got to say.
And Jesse, of course,
it'll be ready to roll.
And Jesse, of course, it's been real.
It's been fun.
We'll see you on the Beatles show, and we will be back at some point during the month. We will be back. So this, on behalf of the cast and crew here at WTBR FM and PCTV, along with my co-hosts, who we'll need to get a picture of this later. We will see you after this is all over. On behalf of Ham On, WTBR, The Beatles Forever, and PCTV 73 from
73s, everyone.
Berkshire County in Pittsfield, Massachusetts.
Stay well. We'll see you on the flip side.
It's time to let old things die. Snoke, Skywalker, the Sith, the Jedi, the Rebels, let it all die.